Turn up the dial, feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wide variety. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to Monsters on the Edge with your host, Barnaby Jones. That's me. Today is an amazing, great show. It is the 50th episode of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. It is the Eclipse Day, and our guest is Ron Morehead. It is going to be an amazing show. I can't wait for you guys, and we are live today. We've had a lot of pre-recorded shows lately because we've had a lot of guests on that can't make it live, but we are live. So make sure if you guys have any questions or comments, throw them in the comments section, put them in all caps, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. We got some stuff coming up here, guys. The Caps team is going to be in the Brainerd Psychic and Wellness Fair coming up this weekend in Baxter, Minnesota. It is a big 3-day event. There's a seance on Friday, and then there is the convention Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a great day. Saturday at 10 a.m., myself and Ma from the Caps team are doing a brand new presentation about all of our travels across the United States and encounters with creepy, weird, and unknown things. So it's going to be great. And then Sunday, I am doing a cryptozoology presentation as well at 3:30. So 2 days or 3 days event. I will be speaking 2 days. Brainerd Psychic Wellness Fair. There we go. May 18th, we are going to be in Rhinelander, Wisconsin at the Hodag Heritage Festival. We are doing a CAPS Bigfoot hike expedition that evening at 7 p.m. Tickets are available at wisconsincaps.com. Otherwise, Hodag Heritage Festival is a free event. You can get all the information at wisconsincaps.com. Click on the public events page. And of course, guys, the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention, May 31st and 1st. May 31st, myself and Rich Daniels will be doing a Bigfoot expedition hike onto the Hayden Adventure property. There are still a few tickets left for that. This is also a virtual event. So, guys, anywhere you are in the world, you can get tickets for that. It's just $5, and you can listen to all the great speakers, Chad Lewis, Doug Hychek, Rich Daniels, and myself. And if you're there in person, June 1st, after the convention at 7 p.m., Angela Zabel will be doing a psychic gallery reading. And then the following weekend after that, we are going to be down in Chicago, June 8th, noon to 7 p.m. in Illinois. It is the Chicago Paranormal Convention. There's a lot of great speakers at that event as well, including myself and not next week's guest, one of my guests coming up here as well. So, guys, make sure you check that out. If you guys want to show your support for all things here at the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys, as I said, we are live today. It is the 50th episode. There's an eclipse today. It's a whole bunch of fun. And my guest is absolutely amazing. He is Ron Morehead. He has been known for decades for his worldwide research into the Bigfoot and Sasquatch phenomenon. He is an author, researcher, lecturer, experiencer, and the producer of the Sierra Sounds. To date, he has come closer to any other researcher to having a complete body of evidence. The Sierra Sounds are the only Bigfoot recordings that have been scientifically studied, time-tested, accredited as genuine. Ron has documented his personal interactions with these giant beings and produced his story on a CD and also in a book, Voices in the Wilderness. In order to try and understand the enigma associated with these giants, he has begun to delve into quantum physics for the scientific answers that he and his hunting friends experienced. And as a result, he wrote the thought-provoking book, The Quantum Bigfoot. Now Ron resides with his partner Carrie in North Carolina, but he has traveled from Alaska to Patagonia and from North America to Siberia in search of the truth to how these beings are able to stay hidden from classical science. Besides being the keynote speaker at many conventions, he has also been featured on countless radio programs and TV documentaries such as the Learning Channel and Travel Channel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, he is here with us to answer your questions and talk all things about the Quantum Bigfoot. Please welcome to the show, Ron Morehead. Welcome to the show, man.
Oh, thank you, Barnaby. I appreciate that introduction.
Oh, I am very happy I got through it with very little issues. Usually I work third shift. I get up and I'm tired and I can't read and I can't see. And so it's a good day so far.
Yeah. Well, any day you wake up without a tag on your big toe, it is a good day.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So you have done so much stuff, man. It's like I said, it's an honor to have you on the show, and it's just coincidental that you picked literally the 50th episode, and I can't think of a better guest to have here today. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate that. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, there's so much to dig into. I guess you have done so many interviews, you have done so many TV shows, and been on so much stuff. I like to keep things fresh and new and interesting here. So is there anything that you want to talk about right off the bat? Where do you want to start this story? Because I think, hopefully anybody listening to this is familiar with, the Sierra Sounds and all this stuff already. Like, what's something that people don't talk to you about and that you want to tell people and focus on?
Besides my new book, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start there. I mean, you have a brand new book.
Yeah, it says there it is right there.
Yep.
Are
There
you
we go.
sure? Yeah. Subtitle is Scientific Answers to Bigfoot Mysteries. So years ago when I was involved heavily with this stuff, and I still am actually, but when I was having all these encounters, and all of us were in this remote camp in the Sierra Mountains of California, and Al Berry, the guy we took in, he was had a master's degree in science. So he says, just stay with science, whatever you do. But he was a classical scientist, like academia, most of them are. But you have to be a physicist pretty much. Or anyway, what I want to get into actually is who we are as humans and what these things could be. And I think I've established in my last book how they have to be part human. There's no question through the science that I've got behind it. They have to have a human component to them. And that got me way back into history, not just biblical history and ancient texts, but Greek history, nothing like that, but way back into the Anunnaki, into the cuneiform texts, to the Sumerian, up in Mesopotamia. It just really got me interested, and I'm still interested because it's so fascinating how things really came about and how things have been changed over the eons of time. And I think what I've gotten into, really what this has led me to, is just how important we are as human beings on this planet. And I think that's really a critical point that I try to bring out, because most people underestimate our position here and what we're here for. So I've gotten kind of into that, and a little bit on the other stuff. It's kind of an extension off my Quantum Bigfoot, which I wrote a couple of years ago. And that got into a lot, and a lot has been very popular. A lot of people like that book, and so I hope they like this one too, because it answers some more questions that people still have. So anyway, there, I said something.
So this delves into sounds like more of like the origin of where this came from, correct?
Yeah, well, we kind of know the origin. I mean, they're giants who had a language, and I've established the language part as being human component, because only humans are supposed to have that ability for language, like we're talking now, which is a sapient cognizant thought patterns go from your mind into your tongue and throughout your vocal mechanism. But according to Dr. Lieberman at Brown University, only humans have that. And I've established through the studies we've had done that these things have that. So it represents one little piece that Dr. Curlin studied at the University of Wyoming, said it represented an animal over 8 foot tall. Well, when you put that together, along with the cryptolinguist that we've had look into him, that he found by accident actually, and come out and interviewed us. And he studied them, said they have a language. And he was trained by the military, 2-time graduate of the Foreign Language Institute in Monterey for languages by the military. And that's what he made his career out of, was studying these things. Studying, not these things, but I mean, studying unknown codes, unknown languages, see if there was any fun making in the languages or anything code-wise going on. And he did that as his career. And then he started teaching school in Missouri, and he got a hold of these by accident, and he had to talk to us because he said, there's language in there, and I hear it, but I want to study them. And so he got that going, and really all those things put together kind of tells everybody, tells me for sure, that there has to be a human component. Then when you get back into the Anunnaki and then what happened before Anunnaki, I don't know if you know what the cuneiform text is now, but it's the hundreds of thousands really of these clay tablets that were the first written language, about 3,400, 3,500 BCE, was decoded in 1800s, or not decoded, but translated by people and considered very accurate. But it's the first written language known to man, first written language ever, and that's what just about all written languages have their core from that cuneiform text. But it's all been altered over the years, all the way up through the Hebrews, and as we know, our modern Bible was decoded by written by the Jewish nation in 1100 AD. So really lots happening, and if people don't look into the history of how things happened, like I think I have, you'll never really get the hang of it all, because there's a lot going on, and a lot more than just Bigfoot. And a lot of people see cryptids, see ghosts, see this, that, how does that happen? Through density. we don't see all the densities. We live in a three-dimensional environment here on this planet, and that there's a lot more frequencies out there. Well, they see within 430, I think, 770 terahertz. That's everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. I started studying quantum physics several years ago, and that's what brought about my second book. But everything's energy, frequency, and vibration. We are at the most minute level energy vibrating at a frequency. And I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but it's how everything is. It's how everything is. And energy can't die, according to physics. Einstein says you find a frequency of anything, you actually change its matter. Well, in my opinion, that's how a lot of miracles are done. They know the frequency. You get on the right frequency, you can change matter. That was established by Paul Dirac in 1933. He got the Nobel Prize for the direct exchange between energy and matter, matter and energy. They are exchangeable. So, that was a Nobel Prize, and it was affirmed in 2012 by CERN in Switzerland when it had a particle change in energy. And you can detect energy, but you can't see it. You can see a particle, but you can't see an energy. Unless you got special eyes, see energy patterns. So anyway, people say, well, can they disappear? Well, they can go out of your perception. They can go out of your frequency, and then you won't see them. And can the trackway stop? A lot of people report trackway stopping on these things. In fact, Fred Beck in 1924, I think it was, he reported in one of his writings that they followed the trackway. He's the one who claims he shot one, in Mount St. Helens in Oregon. And he said that it would have had to have jumped 160 feet to have not left another track. So for that day on, he thought these things are supernatural. They're paranormal. They're way out there. So how does that happen? Well, when they change their matter into energy, and somehow they can reach the frequency, know the frequency to do that, they can change their density into energy, and their matter into energy, and then their density changes. And that means they wouldn't leave any more tracks. So that's pretty good, I thought. I'll write about that in my new book, and a couple other things. But it's quite interesting when you get into it and start researching things instead of just watching soap operas on TV or something.
Absolutely. You got a lot of information there, and I actually have followed all of that. I'm super excited to see how many people in the comments section got all that, because I do know about CERN, I know about the God particle and being sucked into the bulk, and I understand all this. So I'm super excited here. I want to dig into this as much as you want to dig into, because if we're talking about these things being able to shift their vibration, their energy, and shift out of our visual spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, or do you know, or have you done any experiments with vibrational tones or audio frequencies and stuff to try and bring them back into our visibility, or being able to project some sort of wave out to be able to see them? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. I wish I knew what frequency they use, because we could all do that, right? We find the frequency. But when we were dealing with these things in the early 70s, that's been over 50 years now, we had no idea that could be. I mean, I wasn't into physics at all then, and we're just a hunting camp. Nobody had Bigfoot on the radar. These things were just coming into our camp at night and messing with us, and didn't know about that stuff. And had I have known, well, we probably could have maybe taken some kind of device up there that would get different frequencies so we would attract them, because I've heard the military does that to attract them. Some of them, I've heard that. I don't know.
Attract them?
Attract them.
Attract them. Very interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure there's frequencies that they tune into. And that's how I think they entangle people's thought patterns, so they can mentally talk to them, or I call it quantum entanglement. And as soon as everything is frequency, you find the frequency and you're into it really good. Well, but no, we have not done that frequency thing. I would like to, but you got to find a device. You got to get it where you think they might be, or they can be anywhere, because if they're energy messing around, they can be anywhere. They can travel, they can follow you around, they can do what they want to do, but they're not going to be seen until they lower their density into your three-dimensional environment. And that sometimes is done by accident when they're out just hunting or wanting to eat or wanting to experience this world like we do. Because this world's a charm. I mean, it's really a good place to be. And not when we're killing each other, but it's a nice planet. You know, it's got everything, and they like it here too. I think, but they enjoy just like a lot of people see ghosts and see different things in different densities. But I think something has to lower they have to have their eyesight has to be better, or they see energy, or the product what they're seeing has to lower their density into ours.
Have you kept up on Expedition Bigfoot at all? A couple seasons ago, they used this. They said it was like a military technology or something that was able to detect the frequency of specific animals in areas. Have you seen that? Do you know what I'm talking about? And have you?
I didn't. I didn't see that episode. You know, they interviewed me a couple of years ago when I lived in Washington, and you know, I don't follow those programs so much, to be honest with you, because so much of them, I know what production crews do, and they have to get the narrative that they want, and that whatever's supporting them is going to pay for a certain narrative. And they have to get that out of whoever they're interviewing. So I don't trust a lot of them, to be honest with you, and so. No, I don't keep up with it because I know it's a show. However, the one I did in Portlock, Alaska, with the Discovery Channel a couple of years ago, Alaska Killer Bigfoot, they're real. I mean, they didn't cut me too much. They filmed me, and they filmed other people that were there too. But the guys were real, and it wasn't a put up show. It was a realistic thing when these guys were trying to rehabilitate their fishing village there. And I told them what I thought. They wanted a Bigfoot expert. I said, well, what do you want me for? But I do know, I guess, a little bit more about these things because I've interacted with them so much and never could get a finger on it. It was like trying to nail Jello to the wall. Just pretty difficult to get a finger on. But we underestimated when we were dealing with them. So with close-up stuff, didn't know what we were dealing with at that time. We saw some kind of monster in the woods and got to capture a picture. We never could capture a picture. As much as we tried to rig up traps and everything else, they'd go around them or something like that would happen. And the only thing we could capture was their sounds. And thank goodness we had Al Berry there, who actually took recordings and finally got an unbiased opinion on what they represented to see if there wasn't any hoax making. He knew what science needed was actual evidence that this was real and that there wasn't somebody faking. So, but they go outside the human range with their sounds. They can go inside. They can make just about any sound they want to make. And that's what leads me to think that maybe their vocal mechanism will allow them to get into a frequency somehow, which might change their matter into energy. And that's why a lot of people say, well, even native lore says they go into trees. They live in trees. Well, they live in two worlds. Well, how does that happen, live in two worlds? Well, they live in our world, but they can also go into another one. The etherical, and that's two very prominent people tell me they know they go into trees and come out of trees, and that's kind of interesting. So I got a whole chapter on trees because a lot of sightings I've had the privilege of interviewing people was done when they were cutting trees, when they're clear cutting trees, and multiple sightings like that for the last 50 years really, and so there's something to trees. They need I think they need the energy that trees have, and trees also communicate with each other too, in a non-etherical way. It just, they have a root system which goes on. So anyway, when they say they came out of a tree and they know we saw them do that, and I had one guy, I can go on and on with my stories, but I'm just eating up time here. It's all interesting stuff though, and I got to tell you, people say, "Oh, you still believe in those?" No one ever asks me that anymore. I don't even go there trying to convince people to believe in them because they're out there and they're there. What are they there for? And how come they don't? If they're so advanced, and they are advanced, by the way, at least what we dealt with, very advanced. Why don't they help us? Well, they try to help you through quantum entanglement, but they're not going to just come out and talk to you like aliens won't do that either, because if they do, they're interfering with your karma, and our actions that we do on this planet are supposed to be evaluated by will we go after this. And that's why I stress in my book too, it's important to know who you are as a human, because we're here for the experience, just the experiences. But more so than that, it's how we react to those experiences. So react with love and compassion, you're going to elevate your own vibrational frequency. And if you're a victim all the time or watch soap operas every day and getting into the negativity part of this planet, you're going to go downhill. And sooner or later, you got to learn your lesson. And you got to learn what love is all about, because God is love. I don't like to get in religion. I'm not religious, by the way. I was raised religiously, though, so I know scriptures very well. And that's what brought about my subtitle, my second book, Bringing Science and Spirituality Back Together, because quantum physics, what one man calls God, another one calls the laws of physics. That's called Tesla. So quantum physics and spirituality are on the same boat. They're synonymous as far as I'm concerned. And that's why you can't get your finger on it, because where's God? Where's anything like that? It's out somewhere where we can't see it with our limited visions. Like I say, we only see within certain terahertz. Our olfactory sense is, a bear's olfactory sense is 20 times better than ours. 20 times. They can smell right through a can and tell you if they want it in or not. And I know that. And it's like our hearing. We don't hear ultrasound or infrasound, but we know it's out there. And it's proven it's out there. So if people just understand how we're limited with this three-dimensional body we got, this embodiment, because there's two parts to our embodiment. There's the physical part, which our brain works well on. And we're all conditioned there, by the way, all conditioned with certain parameters that we think is real. We all have our own idea of what's truth and what isn't truth. But if you understand that there's another part to you, the etherical part, which is your soul, your spirit that doesn't die, that's the energy that we're made of. It just changes form, according to Einstein. And no one wants to guess at that into physics. However, religions guess at it because they think, well, we're going to go to heaven. Well, where's heaven? I know some of these scientists, academia, who work with me in this project, who believes Bigfoot's probably there, but they have to have the physical proof. Well, it's hard to get that in these things because they're so elusive and they're so more advanced than what everybody gives them credit for. And so I know they're more advanced than what we gave them credit for. But they have language. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just listening. So many questions here. For my recent one here, I guess, is when these you say that these things are not in our physical dimension because they change their energy and they can come in and out of our spectrum and stuff. Do you think that that's why we haven't been able to find these bodies? Like everyone is obsessed with, we haven't found a body, we haven't seen these. Do you think that they're just not here when they die and that's why we haven't found them?
Could be, yeah. They are, and when they're in our dimension, they can
Right.
They can hurt, they eat, they poop, they procreate, they do all the stuff we do when they're in our density. But when they can step out of it, if all of them can do that, I don't know that all of them do it. I'm pretty sure the ones we dealt with up there in the Sierras could do that because we should have seen them more often than we saw them. And they're just, they're very, very smart, clever, intuitive, however you want to put it. If they can step out into another dimension, that's probably why you don't find a body. Also, it gives them away. Once a body's found, that's pretty much determined the science part of them, but they're still not going to. And I think the government has a lot to do with taking bodies away. So if you find one, don't turn it over to the government. They'll start laughing at you and start making fun of you and keep the body.
So when you talk about them, not wanting to be discovered or whatever, you say that they want to help us and stuff, kind of the same way with the, the mind speaker, the quantum entanglement, like you said. Why do you think that they're so elusive then? Why do you think that they're avoiding us?
Well, they don't want to be discovered. And they don't want to be shown because once you ever get a DNA out of one of them, which there has been some done, but it's all been poo-pooed down by academia because it had a human component in it. Well, now I've established through my research that they do have a human component to them. And I get into way back into the Anunnaki, which I'm sure you know about. And that's the powerful ones from the sky who messed around with the genome of species on this planet, including primates. And they created things. I think they probably created the Bigfoot then too. They're trying to find somebody to do their work for them. Well, that's the story anyway from the cuneiform text. And but those things are they call them gods with a low G, not a capital G. And there was mentioned hundreds of times in the cuneiform text as Elohim, Elhim, Him, something like that. And they're all in the plural form. So yet every time they were translated into a different language, they whoever was doing the work for whatever king was in charge put it in singular form. Well, that's how we got to be one God up there with a stick herding sheep, and we're supposed to join him someday, you know. That's not what it is. However, there is a God with a capital G. He's everything, the creator of the energy that's created everything. What we are, though, we're a warring species. We're created by the fallen ones. And you get into biblical texts, you find out there was what they call fallen angels. They were just aliens who wanted to come to Earth because it's such a nice planet, and they wanted to take charge of it. Well, they started messing around with everything. And if you really get into that, they had to take a human form to be here, but they could still do powerful things. Even Satan was called the shiny one. They were shiny people. But it goes on and on. I can't begin to talk about all of it in an hour, so I talk a little fast. Plus, I had my coffee.
Absolutely. We have to take a really quick break here for station identification. When we get back, we have some questions and comments in the comments section, and we're going to get right back into this. So we'll be right back. Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, spirits, and the metaphysical? How about Mothman, Bigfoot, and other cryptids? What about UFOs, UAPs, and other anomalous phenomenon? Then you need to check out Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. We have all that and more. Watch our series, Caps Road Trip, where we travel across the U.S. in search of these phenomenon and bring you not only the history of these locations, events, and encounters, but evidence that we capture along the way. Alongside our team of researchers and investigators, you never know who will be joining in on the investigations. Are you interested in Bigfoot in Upper Michigan? Check out Finding Huyton, a series documenting the Sasquatch activity on a very special 80-acre property just outside of Menominee that has been a hotspot since 2012. Are you looking for something to listen to on your morning commute, road trip, or just hanging out? Head on over to our YouTube and check out one of our several podcasts hosted by members of the CAPS team. Topics and shows spanning everything from paranormal, UFOs, metaphysical, cryptids, and more. And if you're into spooky, check out our mini-series, Spirits of Menominee, which documents the paranormal activity of downtown Menominee, Michigan, or Spirits of Macville, where we investigate one very active location. Head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, and you won't miss a minute.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our show's knowledgeable hosts and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
All right, guys, we are back here live on the Untold Radio Network. I am Barnaby, and we are talking today with Ron Morehead. Ron has a brand new book out here, Bigfoot Unveiled, Scientific Answers to Bigfoot Mysteries. So, guys, if you have any questions or comments, like I said, we are live. Get them in the comments section, and we'll get to them as soon as possible. We got a couple here. Lee Warner says, I have the Quantum Bigfoot also, the book. Seems like she really enjoys that. Yes, there it is. I have a copy of that. I have Voices in the Wilderness as well.
Oh, good.
Have not got your new one yet. I haven't seen you again in person since it's came out, so I'm waiting for that. But let's see. Matthew Barnes here says Quantum Bigfoot is a great book. So little shout outs for you there.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. I want to check here. Yes. Okay. And then here's our first question here. So he says, Andrew says, I heard there was supposed to be a documentary. Is there one in the making? And I believe this is in pertaining to the Sierra Sounds at the time.
Yes, there's supposed to be one. Again, you never know how these things are going to turn out, but they've been working on one for over a year now, a couple of years. A production crew, a couple that I know. And they're very honorable people, so I trust that they're going to get this together. They're going to interview me again in California in June, and that should get closer to doing the episode. We'll see. I hope so. But again, I've gone through this many, many times in the past, and something always falls through. They don't have the money, or something don't happen right. Or they. Whatever, fall apart. But yeah, I hope that has one. I just got contacted from a person in the UK that's supposed to be pretty renowned that wants to do one on me. So we'll see.
Very cool. Well, best of luck to you on that. I hope it comes to fruition.
It needs to. This story needs to be told properly, really, because it was an adventure of a lifetime. It was really. I've had a lot of adventures, but this was unique. And it just needs to be told. It needs to be told properly and without any too much redaction,
Embellishments and, personal stuff put in there besides what, you guys did. So absolutely. David would like to know, do you believe there are humans that have successfully changed their frequency to enable change in their matter to become energy?
Yeah, I think they could if they find the right frequency. I mean, I don't know if I believe it or not because I haven't witnessed it with these limited eyeballs, but yeah, if you find the frequency of anything, you can change its matter. And I think some maybe gurus or Tibetan monks or something like that have been able to do certain things like that. And I know they, according to history and what's been written, they can move stones, move boulders with the right frequency. They get the right elements going on, they can change and move these boulders. And I think that's how all the megalithic structures were made down in Peru and Bolivia, where I've been. And you see that stuff with your own eyes, and wow, it just opens them up. And that's the biggest thing I gotta ask people is, if you're gonna get into this whole matter, you gotta open your mind, because we're just limited with our constructed brain it's been molded to fit somebody else's paradigm. You got to open that up. I got to tell people it's like a parachute. If you don't open it, don't work. And need to do that, because without an open mind, you'll never get anywhere. Because we've all been conditioned, and that's just the right with the Newtonian physics, which is great. Don't get me wrong. We live in Newtonian physics, three-dimensional, 1687. Well, quantum physics has only been around for a little over 100 years. And it was introduced and got the Nobel Prize in 1918 by Max Planck, who got the Nobel Prize for quantum mechanics. And you got all these physicists that have worked with that for a long, long time. And but it's hard to get your head around it. How do you find the end of the universe of everything? Because Newtonian physics is based on everything measurable, predictable, material, physical. Well, no, everything isn't that way. Everything in our environment is. But not everything is that way, and quantum physics gets into answering a lot of the questions that Newtonian physics does not answer.
Yeah, there's the old adage: a fish doesn't know that he's wet. And I think this is a very
I
good
like
point,
that. That's good. That's a good one.
there's you talk about the things that we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Science can only prove what it understands and its current understanding of that.
Mhm.
Look back at, we used to think that the earth was flat. We used to think that the sun or sorry, the sun revolved around the earth, and all this stuff that we've learned and grown, and scientific fact is no longer fact. It is evolved and changed, and because of that, there's so much out there that we just don't even know that we don't know. So
Max Planck, science dies one funeral at a time, or science don't die. Science graduates one funeral at a time, something like that.
yeah,
This
awesome.
is a mind that hasn't been conditioned with certain things to get out of it. We got to get out of it. So that's the enlightenment time that we're in now. That's what the Lion Calendar, I think, is all about, is opening up to a new Aquarius time where we're all going to be enlightened. And we're getting enlightened through programs like yours and like several others that are out there that are now seeing the light, so to speak, being enlightened. Anyway, there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, by all means. We have another question here for you. Do you think other entities try and interfere or control Bigfoots?
Yes. I mean, yeah, I do. I think they're a product of alien intervention. So something made them, whatever made them. There's a different type of aliens have been on this planet for eons, and eons, a long, long time. They've messed with the structures. They've messed with the species. They've practiced. They've done all kinds of things where they're powerful. And do I think that the aliens mess with it? I know they've been seen together a lot. Like the Huffington Post in 2012 wrote an article about a rancher and some Native Americans that witnessed this small moon coming down and three crazy bears jumping out of it. Well, that's kind of like that's kind of like a first report of UFO. And actually, I saw a UFO up at our camp one time when all this stuff was going on. It just I lost it through the trees. But I think there's an interest with these things. They're not supposed to interfere, but they do interfere. They interfered with us up there. They tried to tell me something. I got it recorded, actually. And I don't know what they were asking me or what they were saying to me. But the cryptolinguist that studied them says, I can't tell you what they were saying, but I can tell you it was a language by the human definition of language, which means sapient speech. And that takes a hide bone, the tongue, the nervous system into the brain to say what you're thinking. Everything communicates. Whales, dolphins, everything communicates, either pheromones or frequency. Well, pheromones are frequency anyway, but yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think, hopefully people are aware of, like we're talking about like the trees and stuff in Africa, where a giraffe will start chewing on one tree and the tree will release this pheromone or chemical into the air, and the trees downwind will pick up on the chemical, and it actually changes the chemicals in the leaves to make them bitter. So if the giraffe moves to a tree downwind, all those trees now taste bitter, and it's an adaptation. It's a survival instinct of these things. So when you think that humans are the only, not you, but I mean people in general think that humans are the only ones capable of intellectual communication and these things, you have to look at all the other things that are out there in the universe that have this ways of non-verbal communication of you talk about like communication through the root systems and stuff as well, of these electronical impulses and stuff. And there's so much more out to the world that these things, it's a big world.
interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, even like infrasound. That's how elephants and large animals communicate through distances of miles, sometimes just through infrasound. We don't hear infrasound. However, it can affect us. And I was affected up there one time, maybe twice with it. Not maybe, but twice with it. When I was going up to where one of these things had to be behind a tree, a Bigfoot. It was mouthing off. We was inside the shelter. Me and another guy. When we jump out there out the doorway right quick, we'll see it run off because we knew we wasn't going to be eaten, but we didn't think we was going to get eaten by then. We hadn't been carried away, nothing been no harm. So these things are just messing with us. So let's mess with them a little bit. So went out there and jumped out there and started walking up towards this huge tree, which we think it had to be behind. And we just got stopped like a force field. And I write about that in one of my books. Just, he couldn't go any further. He looked at me, and we weren't talking to each other. We just wanted to see it, you know. We hadn't been seeing him. And all of a sudden we just got stopped, and he said, I got to go. I can't go any further. And I said, I can't either. It's like, I can't even explain the feeling. Just couldn't go. We went back in. As soon as I got back in, it started mouthing off again. You know, it's like it won. So I brought that up to a scientist one day. He says, well, I don't want to hear about your feelings. I said, we were not afraid at that time. We weren't. And he said, well, it had to be infrasound or pheromones. I said, well, if it's pheromones, that only works with the same species. So at that time, we had no idea that could be partially the same as a human. So I stick with ultrasound, infrasound, I mean.
Have you gotten a chance to talk to any like zookeepers or caretakers of like the tigers, lions, or elephants that work with these animals that we know produce infrasound? Have any of those people reported any of the same situations of being hit by that wave like we see in the Bigfoot?
I've talked to somebody like that, a scientist who studied infrasound, and she, no, I mean, as far as the bottom line answer to that is no, I haven't talked to anybody that's been hit with something like that, other than people who would think they were around one of these Bigfoot beings. Because if they can produce infrasound, which I have no doubt they can do that, even the graph that Dr. Curlin drew in his book, his paper that he wrote for this study that he did on our sounds, he showed in little icons where the sound wave hit, and it was inside the average human range, it was above the human range, it was below the human range, it was everywhere. And that's all our cassette tape recorders would record that back in those days. That's all we had. So what are the frequencies they went to? I have no idea. But one time my daughter and I was up there, and we thought we heard an owl hooting way up the canyon there. And I turned my little cassette recorder on, and the speaker switch was on, so it squealed. And that owl sound that was there turned into Bigfoot chatter. So they can make an owl, they can sound like an owl, but it would sound like a 800-pound owl, you know. So that's the thing they can't hide is their amplitude. They just got a really powerful sound that'll just jar you when you're around them.
I have been what I believe is growled at on 2 occasions by these things, and I tell you, it is surreal. Like the feeling, like, you know, like I attune it to when you're at like a parade or something, and the marching band comes by, and you literally feel the drum beat. You know?
Yeah,
and it's just this intense vibrational feeling. It's something else, man.
Yeah. For sure. They were right outside our shelter within just a few feet of us, and we couldn't see them. A couple guys did get a glimpse of one night walking by in the moonlight through the crack in the wall. But I've laid there in my sleeping bag waiting for one to go by and never got a glimpse of one. Yet you heard them walking right by there, but you never saw it. And at that time, I didn't know about what I think I know now as far as our energy and matter interchanging, but I think they do that, or the ones we were encountering up there did anyway. They can change their matter into energy, and you won't see them. Because one of them, that night when Al Berry was recording, they got those real clear sounds. His mic was about 40 feet behind the shelter, strapped to a little tree, and it sounded like the thing was holding the microphone. But he could see the microphone, and he never saw anything. So that's kind of weird. But then I was told later on by scientists that maybe they have air sacs. And by the way, they do. Found that out from a lady witness. They have air sacs which can project the sound like a howler monkey. But this lady from the UK, which was on Sasquatch Chronicles, I think it was, in episode 515, I interviewed her personally myself, and she told me quite a bit about, she was over here on business, and she got off early. She went down to the beach to watch the sun go down, take some pictures of the sun going down. Never considered there was anything like a Bigfoot on this planet. And she's sitting there on the rocks waiting for the sun to go down, and there's 5 of them started walking along the beach's edge there, and there's a male, 2 female, and 2 adolescents. The male went out into the water and started pulling out seaweed and throwing it back to the female. What they were doing, she didn't know, but she just was, her jaw was dropping. She didn't know what to think about this. She said, I got to get a picture. no one's going to believe this. And she pulled the dust cover off of her lens cover, and dropped it. And it made a sound on the rocks, and the males heard it and looked back at her and started screaming, coming towards her. She said every time he screamed, his neck would swell out. And she drew me a picture of it and sent it to me. But she's a very credible person. She's a linguist in 7 different languages she knows. And she's just a very businesswoman, and she thought so much to know about this. But anyway, that happened in California coast. And so they have air sacs, which allows them to project their sounds. I don't know if they can throw them or not, but something very loud does that. And it's not manufactured. We took a scientist up there to do a flora fauna study on the environment to see if there was anything through the suggestion of a scientist, in fact, the one who studies infrasound. And he couldn't find anything. He dug around trying to find anything that could have caused this to be nails in the wall and nails in trees. He even dug ditches or trenches trying to see if there was any sign of wires or anything like that buried. No, he was up there. I took him up there. We were up there for 3 days, and interesting time. He's a survivalist. He knew the outdoors. He's a wildlife biologist also. And so anyway, nobody's messing with us. I mean, it's all been tried to be debunked a million times. Nobody can debunk it because, well, number one, it's real. So he debunks something's real. Somebody says, I can make sounds like that. Well, Joe Rogan said that, but he can't do it. I mean, he thinks he can, but no, I don't. If he really listened to him, does his homework, he's a smart guy. He would know that he can't do, because he got one stepping on the other in arguments up there. We got those tapes. And so it's just, anyway, it's just something should be looked in, and somebody should produce a documentary on this. And I think it'll be done maybe after I'm pushing up daisies or something, but it might be done. Not too many of us are still alive. You know?
Going, yeah. I lost my train of thought. Oh, so I believe that I've heard that you guys up in the Sierras also had the sound of like car doors. We hear that like in some of these stories, like of car doors slamming out in the middle of woods nowhere. I've actually heard that as well. And on that same note, earlier you were talking about the energy and moving into trees and living in trees and stuff. Some people believe that these things, when they're talking about these wood knocks, is the sound of them coming in and out of trees. So on the sound of the car doors and then the wood knock sounds, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I personally had the wood knock sounds, and I recorded on David Paulides' Missing 401, The Hunted. At the same time, we saw a light beam going by us, slowly moving through the trees, and they reproduced that very well in 2018 when I took them up to the Sierra camp. As far as the, what was the other question?
The car door slams?
Yeah, car door slams. Well, I heard that. Yeah, there's no way you're going to get a car up there, much less have one slam a door. But again, I think they can either make you think you're hearing it or you heard it and they mimic the sound. Because there's times where we heard the whole camp being tore apart. We thought was inside the shelter, and we look out there later and nothing's changed. Well, how do you explain that? You know, because there were several of us in the shelter. There's only 5 of us left. Not even 5, not anymore. People are dying. You know, as we get older, we just sort of pass on. But anyway, yeah, you don't know what to think, what to do with that. And Al Berry, the master's degree in science, he says, don't talk about that stuff to people when you're talking. And but we kept that close to our chest for a long time. We talked about the sounds only. And but he did write about some orbs that followed the Johnson brothers around there in 1970s, early 70s. It's all happened in the early 70s. And on. But I mean, anyway. Next question.
Yeah. Next question. We have several questions here, guys. We are coming up to the end of the hour here, so if you guys have any questions for Ron, get them in the comments now, and we will try and get them in before we go here. So the first one here, thanks for the video, really enjoying it. Could you ask Ron if he's planning on releasing any more books in the future? I really enjoy reading his previous works. He just released one, and now you want another one? Got any more coming out, Ron? This one isn't good.
No. There's a lot of work putting these out because, you know, the first book was my chronicle. It comes with a download of the sounds too, so you can link to that and hear the sound I'm talking about when I'm going through all this. The second book got into the mysteries behind it, which is a Quantum Bigfoot. I think that answers a lot of questions the paranormal, the woo-woo people, all that stuff have those questions. But this book just expounds a little bit more on Tesla's manifestation code, on densities, how densities work, and physics, really. And it gets into a little bit of the Anunnaki and takes you way back into the cuneiform a bit. And so this is my recent book. I just released it about 2 weeks ago. So let's see how it goes. And it's, I went to one convention since then and sold them all out. So people are excited about getting it. It's a good book.
Awesome. For people interested, I put the Amazon link in there. Do you have these available on your website? Can people get an autographed copy if you want one?
No, they're sent directly by KDP from Amazon. So I don't stock them here. Okay. So they have to go to where I'm speaking at someplace, and I sign them there because I have them sent directly from Amazon to there. And yeah, that's no, no, I don't. No. I guess I could, but it's a lot of trouble. I couldn't keep up with it, to do all that here at the house. I have to package it. I have to walk into the post office. I have to stand in line. I have to declare there's nothing foreign in it, or nothing, no bomb going to blow up or something like that, and then you can mail it. So there.
Well, since we're on that topic, can you tell everyone where you're going to be in the next couple months that you can remember, and where can people find you to get a copy then?
Well, yeah, I'll be in Hamlet this week, but a lot of my things I noticed was conflicting with what you're going to do, so I don't know if you're going to tell them or not.
No, go ahead, by all means, anywhere you're going to be.
Well, let me look at my calendar here.
Sure.
I can't. Okay, I'm going to be in Hamlet this weekend, North Carolina, and I'll be just signing books there. I won't be speaking, but I'll have my books and as a guest, and then let's see. I'm eating up time.
No, you're fine.
Then the May 3rd and 4th, I'll be in Townsend, Tennessee, at the Bigfoot Festival there, right out of Knoxville, and I have several podcasts in between there, but. Yeah, the end of May, I go to New Jersey, and that's the 1st of June, end of May. Then I go to California, and I'll be speaking there on the 21st of June. I got, let's see, I'll just flip right through the end here. I go to Mount Vernon in September, so the 6th and 7th. Anyway, I don't want to spend all my time looking fast.
Oh, you're good. Do you have those dates and stuff on a website or anything where people can find you?
I should have. My website just got redone, and the guru didn't give me it has yet to give me access to how I can enter things myself there. So I got to keep up with that. I'm lazy about that stuff. I don't do a lot of it. I just usually put it on my Facebook page, which is Ronald J. Morehead. And but my books and all that stuff are downloadable, and they're all, you can get the hard copy or not the hard copy, but the paperback version sent to you, or you can get the download for less money, and it's on my website, ronmorehead.com. And that's got the information on it, which a lot of people like to chime into that and check it out.
I got the link to your website as well in the show notes for anybody that's looking for that, and the link to the Amazon for the new book that is out.
Actually, what's in my website directed right to Amazon. I mean, it just goes right straight if they want a book. Yeah. But Amazon takes a big chunk of that.
Yeah. I got 2 more questions, looks like, here for you. I'm seeing through pictures and video that there are so many other types of cryptids or beings out in the woods. Some are creepy as hell. What's up with this?
Okay, it's aliens again messing around with the genome. like the Dog Man in Tennessee. They swear up and down. In fact, I know some guys. I just spoke down there a few weeks ago, and they are all over. I suppose they're up into Canada too, the Dog Man. And they're creepy and they're malicious. So, yeah, again, it's the agenda that whoever made them put in through their DNA, or they're malicious or malevolent. And so I caution people just to keep their guard up on what they're dealing with, because if they're good ones, like we had up there, there's no danger with them. They just want to help us some way, I think, but because we're headed the wrong way on this planet, we're heading for destruction if we don't change our ways. We got to learn how to respond to everything with love and compassion, and get away from this shooting everybody and hurting someone. Just got to get away from that, and that's what the vibrational frequency, the whole Earth is trying to build itself back to where it used to be, and that's I think the fifth dimension. We're all going towards that now with a higher vibration. Not all of us, but not the ones that cut other people's heads off. That's the ones that's going to have you in trouble.
Absolutely.
So I just tell people, know who you are as a human being, what made you, and how important you are, because we're very, very important to this whole galaxy, I think. And we're not the only intelligent ones. Well, assuming we're intelligent, I'm not so sure about that, but there's more things that, all these cryptids that are being seen are just things that are being produced by alien genome manipulation into a different species, like the Dog Man, like a lot of these things that are being seen. Unless it's a ghost, so they're hanging out in the fourth dimension of time, waiting to see what they got to do next because they didn't qualify. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got my theories on all that stuff, because if you don't learn it in this lifetime, you got to come back and learn it again. I believe in multiple embodiments, and I just come to that. I wasn't raised that way at all. Nope. One time, you either die, you either go to hell or you go to heaven. If you go to hell, you're going to burn and burn and burn from a God who loves you, right? No, it doesn't happen. I don't still believe that. I think you got to come back until you learned your lesson. We've had multiple embodiments. Energy can't die, so we've been here for eons. We're going to go through different lives learning things.
Absolutely.
My thoughts.
Very good. You need to write a book on the paranormal and all that now.
Well, actually, you get into quantum physics, you're into the answers to the paranormal. So I think.
There you go. And your final question here, it looks like, for beginners to this phenomenon, does Ron recommend any literature or authors besides you, other than his books? Yeah, even said that, which they ordered today. David says he got your new book. Do you recommend a starting point, either science or ancient history?
Both. Yeah, I would get Quantum Physics 101, something simple, because they do have simple ones where you can get your head around it. Because if you get into the deep ones, and that's what I got started with, just the shallow ones, and then grew into it more and more to try to understand it, because quantum physics is no limit to it. It's just, as we know, everything from the atom to through the cosmos works under the laws of quantum physics. That's Dr. Christopher Barrera at West Texas A&M stated that. And everything does. It's just it rides on the back of Newtonian physics, which we all live in here. Biggest thing is, again, your mind has been so conditioned. Everybody's been conditioned from the time of birth to think certain things. Getting that open. And when you read these things, even my books, you got to have an open mind, or you're not going to care for it, because you've been conditioned to think, no, it can't be that way. Well, maybe it is that way. Just open it up and see what fits with your heart, because you have to have your heart and your brain in coherence. They have to rhythmically mind, so that your heart, which has the main brain, which is receiving from the pineal gland in your head, but your heart receives information, and it's telling the brain what to do. When you get that gut feeling, the brain says, something tells me to go that way. It's a feeling I got. But your brain, your analytical brain, says, no, go over there. That's where the $1 million is, right over there. So we follow that too much instead of our heart's brain. So the biggest thing is getting meditation, understanding that the coherence, the rhythm between all of it has to flow together to get the oneness that we're all part of. There. Did I answer the question? Ancient history, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any specific books that you'd recommend?
Well, I did. No. Well, yeah. Let's see. That's been so long since I read them. Let's see. These guys, two guys from Santa Cruz State, wrote this book, Quantum Physics. It's a simple book, but it's written in layman's terms so you can understand it. And it's not, quantum physics is not simple, number one, but you can follow it. And that's what's good about it. You can follow this book. And I forgot the name of it, but it's like Quantum Physics 101. Just research them. I'm sure there's others out there. They're all over the place because it's a new science, and it's called modern science. The other one's classical science, Newtonian physics. So you got to get into that quantum physics and try to understand that, and then you follow my books even better, how I'm reasoning out. Because I try to quote scientists when I say something, like Dr. Paul Dirac, who got the Nobel Prize, Dr. Einstein, those guys like that. Einstein says, let's see, science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. There you are. Quantum physics and spirituality are synonymous. I said that earlier in the program, but it's so true. I think we have to understand that there's just more going on that we don't see with these eyes. We have to get in coherence to understand things. And we can even see more than you can see energy sometimes. You can see the aura about somebody because we all put out energy. And there's that. Biggest thing is just knowing how important you are as a human being, and knowing we're here for the experience, and you're going to get the experiences. Don't be a victim. Look at everything on a positive nature and start reacting in positive nature to people. When they insult you or slap you or something like that, turn the other cheek. It's hard to do. Or you can dodge.
One last question just popped up here. If you got a sec, how do you think that they can decalcify their pineal gland?
Oh, through diet.
Oh.
Through diet, yeah. Because we've been fed all these things that aren't good for you, and that's the wicked race that we're part of here. Is just doing that because people used to grow their own gardens and no pesticides, nothing like that. So you got to get away from fluoride. That's the biggest culprit of your pineal gland. So if you can start eating right and doing that stuff and eating just non-GMO and stuff like that, we do, just non-GMO all the time. Stay away from gluten because it's all gluten in this country anyway has been messed with pesticides, wheat. So if you get away from all that pesticide stuff, you're going to be in better shape with your pineal gland. And decalcifying it is very important because otherwise you won't be intuitive. Some people are very, very intuitive. That's because they don't have their calcification going on in their pineal gland as much as others.
That makes sense. Thank you so much. Thank you, and love and compassion, self-awareness, spirituality, quantum physics. Much appreciated for the show today. Looks like everybody has had a good show. Awesome. Thank you. Everything. So very good, man. I honestly, I appreciate you coming on. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for all of the stuff that you have done and contributed to the Bigfoot world and our research and all that, man. You're an amazing man. I appreciate you. Thank you for your work.
Just a man in the right space doing the right thing, and that's all I'm here for, is to help somebody. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you again in the future, and take care, man.
Okay, you too.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. That is our 50th episode. It's been absolutely amazing having Ron here with us, guys. For those of you who don't know, I am back here again Thursday morning for my new show, The Paranormal Spectrum, which is all paranormal and aliens and weird stuff like that, besides Bigfoot and cryptids. This week, we have Aaron G. Thompson from 28 Days Haunted will be on the show. And that is going to be Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Time. And we will be back here. And then coming up next Monday here on Monsters on the Edge, It is Andy McGrath is going to be joining us on the show. So that is what we got coming up here on the Untold Radio Network. But that's not all. There's a ton of other shows out here. There's like 11, 12 of us on the network now, so there's something for everybody. I hope you guys find something that you enjoy. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends about the Untold Radio Network, Monsters on the Edge, and the Paranormal Spectrum. And until next week, guys, I'll see you on the edge.